Welcome to today's session on closing your end of financial year. You probably missed a little bit about me talking about how cold it was this morning when I took the dog for a walk. Yeah, look, welcome to today's session. I was just saying just before, some of our clients that are on the call have been through preparing end of financial year, a few times now. It's not their first rodeo working through this process, but there is also obviously some new clients that haven't done their financials yet, closing the end of financial year with MYOB Acumatica. And there's also new people that come into organizations all the time that, probably need that little bit of tips and tricks on how to get ready and make sure it's a clean and easy process. A lot of the content that we're sharing today is similar to content that we shared last year. What I encourage is if you've got any tips and tricks that we don't go through today that you found useful, that you've kept it, burnt into your mind, please come off mute and share those with the community of people. In the background, when you first joined, there should have been a poll that also come up. So if you can help us out by answering that poll, and we'll go through some of those answers in a second. But yeah, as I encourage you to be interactive as much as you possibly can. So the poll questions are there. So hopefully everyone's had a chance just to answer those, but we'll go through those and see what the results are. So I guess the first poll question that we have prepared for you today is how prepared is your business for end of financial year processing in MYOB Acumatica? We've already started our end of financial year tasks. We know what needs to be done, but we haven't started. We are unsure of the end of financial year processes, and we rely on our partners or accountants to guide us on the best processes, or this is our first end of financial year in MYOB Acumatica. Second question is, what is the biggest end of financial year challenge for in MYOB Acumatica? Is it the bank account reconciliations, inventory valuation and stock adjustments, fixed asset depreciations, financial reporting and audits, or payroll and compliance requirements? Third question we've got is, which end of financial year activity do you spend most time on? Reconciling accounts, reviewing inventory, reviewing financial reports, correcting transactions, or preparing for auditors and accountants? And if end of financial year closed tomorrow, how confident would you feel? Very confident, mostly confident, or somewhat concerned, or very concerned, or I need help immediately. Just also, I will chuck up in the chat. There is some tips and tricks that MYOB have, or there is a blog that MYOB has put up, so I will put that in the chat in a little bit. But I guess three of the main things that we need to be concerned about is getting ready for Payday Super, and we did do a session last month on the Payday Super, which is starting 1st of July. And obviously, just to be mindful that once Payday Super does kick in, you're going to need to make sure that the funds land in the employees' super funds within 7 business days. Also, there's a strict deadline on the STP Finalisation. So the STP Finalisation is the 14th of July. And also, just another thing, most clients on here may not fall into this category or haven't fallen into this category for a little bit. But in regards to the instant asset write-off, this closes on the 30th of June for businesses less than 10 mil turnover. So using the simplified depreciation rules. While this has been announced in the budget for 26-27, the ATO do want to note that this hasn't passed law yet. And for mid-sized businesses that, they don't fall into that eligibility, anything above that 10 mil turnover. So most people on this call should be above that turnover. And instead, you must, do your depreciation schedule or your calculations using, the depreciation schedules and so on. And that's probably something that if you're managing all your depreciations in a Excel spreadsheet, if you're not aware, MYOB does have a fixed asset module that we can enable for you and help you with setting that up to help manage your depreciation. So those are the 3 tips that MYOB sort of highlighted as well for consideration. But I'll send the checklist and all that sort of stuff in the chat once I stop talking. Sorry, and I've got one last poll question. What's the best describes your end of financial year approach? I've been preparing for months. I'm on track and under control. I'll start it next week. End of financial year. End of financial year is a future me problem, or I need help. If you are new to these sessions that we're hosting today, obviously it's all about giving you more back and helping you work out how to get more out of MYOB Acumatica as a program. And that's obviously, doing sessions on the core platform itself. What does MYOB offer? As I just sort of mentioned, around the asset depreciation side of things, there is a fixed assets module directly in the MYOB Acumatica system. So, we can also look at enabling that if you want to look at taking control and managing those assets directly within MYOB. Obviously, the benefits would be that you not having to prepare, journal entries and all that sort of stuff. It would just be directly linked within the system. But as we'll also, with these sessions, we do also engage with our independent software vendors, or ISVs. So things like PencilPay we've had on before, WageLock. We've even presented it on our AlphaLink and AlphaPod programs, our own independent software that we developed to integrate with MYOB Acumatica. So these sessions are hosted. If you are new, they're hosted on the third Thursday of every month at 10 o'clock. And you can go and register on our website. If you go to our website and you can register there. And there is also all the previous content gets posted up on our website as well. Okay, while just giving you a little bit more time to answer those poll questions before we go through some of the results. As I say, I'm Adam, and then we've also got Leah, one of our ERP consultants, on the call today, and she's going to be taking us through the end of financial year processes. So I hope you guys make her feel welcome and ask plenty of questions and engage throughout the session. So let's have a look at these poll results. So a little bit blurry, but anyway, how prepared are you if you end of financial year processing in MYOB Acumatica? We know what needs to be done, but we haven't started yet. So that's the where we all sort of sit. So hopefully after today's session, you're really excited about end of financial year and start cracking on with it. What is the biggest end of financial year challenge in MYOB Acumatica? So quite evenly, the fixed asset depreciations, financial reporting and audits, payroll and compliance requirements. So yeah, payroll's the big one, the whole Payday Super, and making sure you're up to date with that. So if you weren't able to attend our last session last month on Payday Super, it is on our website. Then you can go and watch that. And if you want, reach out to me or reach out to the team, and we can always do a bit of a review of your setup and make sure it's correct. Quite evenly split across which end of financial year activity do you spend most time on? Reconciling accounts, inventory, and financial reports. It's good to see that we're not correcting a whole bunch of transactions. They should have been done in prior months. If end of financial closed tomorrow, how confident would you feel? We didn't get anyone that's very confident, mostly confident, somewhat concerned, and I need help. So we've got 33% on the call that need help. So if you need us, reach out. We're on, and we can walk you through it. But hopefully this session today does give you a lot of information and you're able to not need so much help immediately. What best describes your end of financial year approach? I'm on track, under control. I'll start it next week and help. So as I say, anyone that needs help, we're here. Cool. So the whole point of this sessions today is to give you that that workflow that you should be following, the best practices when it comes to closing in a financial year, and making sure that it goes smoothly. So I'm going to hand over to Leah now, and so I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll let Leah start.
Okay, here we go. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and hopefully this will help make things a bit clearer for everybody. Okay, so the objective today is to help you understand the end of financial year workflows within MYOB Acumatica. And we're going to cover preparing for the end of financial year closing, finalising payroll, reviewing reports, setting up the new financial year, opening new periods, closing modules and the financial year, and running final reports. So the goal is to provide you with the tools and knowledge you need to feel comfortable completing your EOFY processing. So whether it's your first time closing a financial year in Acumatica, or your second or third time, or you just need a bit of a refresher, hopefully you'll be a bit clearer on what to do after today's session. So but by the way, just want to mention, if you find after today's session, once you're actually doing your closing of your financial year and you can't remember some of the steps, just get in touch with support and someone will be able to help guide you through the process. And we can also assist directly with end of financial activities. We can provide support as a billable service if you sort of want us to guide you through the whole process. But if you just get stuck and you just need a bit of help on something, or you can't find where a problem that's causing you to not be able to close the year, just lodge a support ticket and we'll jump on there and get that sorted for you. So the first thing that we have to think about with the end of financial year is, obviously you're closing off the financial year, starting a new one. There's some quite significant changes to the system and finances there. So it's a one and done situation, which is why you want to make sure that you get a copy of your data before, just in case. And that's why we recommend that you create a snapshot, which is a backup of your data. Okay, so when we're talking about reviewing and planning the lockout, that's what that means, is locking all users out of the system while we create while the snapshot is being created. So you want to let everyone know at least 30 minutes before, but probably more in advance, maybe a day before, and let them know what time the lockout's going to happen. In order to schedule the lockout and also create the snapshot, you're going to need these roles: administrator, lockout manager, and snapshot user. Okay. So, so the next stage is how to schedule the lockout. So on your Acumatica site, go to Management System Maintenance and select Schedule Lockout. If you can't find this option immediately, you might need to click More Items. You can also type it in the search bar on the top left to find that screen. And once you're on the screen, you want to set the date and time for the lockout, notify users that the maintenance is about to occur, and select snapshot mode and click lock the system. So from then on, once it's scheduled, anytime a user logs in, they will get a notification that the lockout is scheduled and when it's going to happen. Okay. And by the way, if your plans change, it's very easy to cancel it. You just go back to that schedule lockout screen and click cancel lockout, and then it won't happen if you need to schedule it again for a different time. So the next step is how to create a snapshot. So once the system is locked, and the reason why you need to lock out the system, by the way, in case it's not obvious, is you don't want anyone to be creating transactions, changing data in the system whilst you're getting a backup of it as a snapshot in time. Okay, so to create the snapshot, once the system is locked, you go to System Management, System Maintenance, select Tenants. By the way, if the system isn't locked out at this stage, the Create Snapshot button will be grayed out, so you wouldn't be able to create the snapshot. Once the system's been locked and you're logged in as an administrator, this button will be available. To create a snapshot, first of all, you click Create Snapshot. Then you complete the snapshot details, enter a meaningful description, and select the export mode. The export mode determines how the data is backed up. Your options are full export or settings only. The settings only option might be if you're creating a new tenant where you want to replicate the configuration, but you don't want any of the data. Obviously, in this scenario, it's the full export that you would be wanting. Once you're you've reviewed the settings and you're happy that everything's correct, then click OK, and the system will go ahead and create the snapshot.
And how the snapshot can take about how long, Leah?
Oh, it can take a long time. Like can take half an hour, or sometimes longer. It depends on it literally does depend on how much data you have. So
yeah,
you just want to leave that browser window open. Usually you might do this out of hours. So, as soon as everyone's finished work, you schedule the lockout, just do it and just leave it.
Yeah. Just for
Occasionally,
point that out.
there might be an error. And if that happens, there's a reason it couldn't create the snapshot. Lodge a support ticket and we'll help you with that. But most of the time it will work fine. Okay. So after you've created the snapshot, next you want to change the visibility. So basically it's a toggle between the normal and enhanced. So changing the visibility allows the snapshot to be accessed from other tenants while still remaining available in the live environment, which can be useful when restoring or working with snapshots across different environments. Okay, now an important step after this is, oh, I've gone too far, sorry. Oh, I thought there was a slide in between. Sorry, you must remember after this is complete to unlock. It's also one of the most important tasks. You might forget because you're an administrator, so you can actually keep working, but no one else can log in. So make sure as soon as it's complete, you manually go to this schedule lockout screen and click unlock so that everybody can log in without any issue. Okay, so that's what you need to do before you do anything else.
All right, is there any questions or queries? I think we've got a few people come off mute. Cool, no questions. If you have any questions and you're a little bit shy and coming off mute, by all means, put them in the chat and we'll answer them as we go. All
right, so yeah, before you do anything, you get your snapshot, and then the first thing that we're going to go through now is finalizing the payroll data. So the first thing you should do is verify your company and payroll information by review your ABN details and company contact info. You can find these in the payroll preferences screen. If you're unsure about where to find any of these settings, you can always get in touch with the support team and we can help you with the verification process. Once you've reviewed your company info, you must make sure that you validate payroll data to identify any discrepancies before year-end reporting. I'd like to also mention a couple of payroll reports that can be quite useful during EOFY processing, the employee detailed data and employee payment information. These allow you to verify taxation details, payroll payment info, and ensure all data is accurate and up to date before finalisation. Another area you should review is your pay item liabilities. Throughout the year, new pay items might have been created. Before finalising payroll, review all pay items, ensure they've been assigned the correct ATO categories. It's worth checking the ATO reporting categories. These do change from time to time with STP, and whenever there is a change, it's communicated from the ATO, and MYOB would have added a new category. So it's worth checking. If there is anything in your pay item liabilities or pay item types that needs updating, you will see a warning. It's in the pay item types. There will be a warning that MYOB's picked up something that you need to select a more specific reporting category. So go through and check that before you do anything else. Now, you also should verify if there are any pay items that needed to be included in the superannuation calculations, work cover calculations, other statutory reporting requirements. This simple step can prevent any significant reporting issues later. Okay, hope I haven't missed it. Okay, sorry, I forgot to go to the next slide. There we go. I just covered this. Okay, so now reportable fringe benefits. This only applies to organisations that report fringe benefits tax. It's an optional process depending on your business requirements. At a high level, it involves creating FBT pay items, creating a dedicated pay group running the pay separately, submitting the event to the ATO. Because FTP requirements vary significantly between organisations, assistance is often required. So if you do need any help with fringe benefits reporting, get in touch with support and we'll help you with that. Okay, reviewing payroll reports. One area that often generates questions from our clients is payroll reporting. There's a lot of payroll reports, and some of them are really handy with making your EOFY reconciliation easier. First one to review is the PayGL batch detail report, which allows you to reconcile payroll information against your finance module, general ledger accounts, and trial balance. You should also review your superannuation reports. And these the newer super reports that have been introduced in the last year or two provide much greater visibility into super liabilities and obligations. For government reporting requirements, make sure you check STP transaction data reports and work cover liability reports. These will help you verify payroll-related government reporting obligations. For payroll tax, review the available payroll tax reports to make sure your payroll tax liabilities are correctly reconciled. And there are some additional payroll reports available within the system that may be useful, but the ones I've mentioned are the primary ones that we recommend. Okay. STP finalisation. So this is the final stage of payroll processing, single touch payroll finalisation. It consists of these steps: opening the STP finalisation screen, review and validate the information, submit the finalisation event. To access STP finalisation, navigate to Payroll, Single Touch Payroll, STP Finalise. On this screen, you then select the relevant year. If you have terminated or resigned employees that need to be included, you can enable the option to include them in the finalisation event. The screen will then display all employees included in the submission. If your organisation operates multiple branches, STP finalisation can also be performed by branch. There's also an option to preview STP finalisation. To enable this functionality, you need to navigate to the Payroll Preferences form and select the STP Settings section, enable STP finalisation review. Once enabled, you'll see a preview finalisation button instead of only the submit finalisation event button. Then you can review all employee and company STP info before submission, which reduces the likelihood of any errors. When you preview finalisation, the system opens the Manage STP submission screen, which allows you to review the information before proceeding. Once you're happy the information's accurate, you can complete the submission process. And at that point, the payroll year finalisation is complete. Okay. So once payroll's been finalised, the next stage is reviewing and reconciling your accounts. This process helps ensure the information in Acumatica matches your financial records before periods are closed. For accounts payable, you review your AP aging report. And sorry, I suppose this might felt like a bit more of a jump. So we're not on payroll at all anymore in the other parts of the system. Okay, so for accounts payable, review your AP aging report and compare it against your trial balance. Okay, sorry, I carry on. For accounts payable, you'll review your AP aging report and compare against your trial balance to make sure the balance is reconciled. For cash accounts, you'll compare your bank reconciliation against both trial balance and balance sheet. The purpose of this exercise is to identify any discrepancies before proceeding with the period and end closure. Once reconciliations and balances are confirmed, you're ready to begin working through the financial modules. Now, I'm just going to mention about starting a new financial year before we discuss the module closures. So it's important to understand how Acumatica handles a new financial year. The first step is opening the new financial calendar year. Opening the new year creates periods required for future transactions and means the users can continue posting after the current year's been closed. Later, we'll cover opening the first period of the new financial year. A useful recommendation is to create multiple future financial years in advance. Some organisations will generate several years ahead so that future posting periods already exist, avoiding situations where staff can't post transactions because a future calendar has not yet been created. Okay, so on to closing modules. We'll start with banking, cash management. So the process begins by ensuring all cash transactions have been released. This includes cash entries, funds transfers, banking transactions, other cash-related documents. Transactions can be released individually or in bulk. And then the next step is to complete your bank reconciliation. So you enter your final bank statement and reconcile all transactions against the statement provided by your bank. Once the reconciliation is complete, verify that the cash account balances are correct. If you encounter any discrepancies, Acumatica provides a function called recalculate account balances. This function recalculates cash account balances and it can often resolve balance discrepancies. It's important to note that recalculation does not identify problems, rather it refreshes the balances based on transactions already in the system. And also be aware, if you have a large transaction volume, this process may take some time. So it might be an idea to do that out of hours. Once transactions have been released, reconciliations completed and balances verified, the final step is to close a financial period within the banking module. Just a quick note on the recalculating the balances. Obviously, if you're closing your period monthly, if you've got the current period open, it's not likely to be much that it needs to do. If you were recalculating balances in inventory and maybe have several months, that could be quite a big job. So just be aware, depending on how big it might be. Think about when you might carry that out. Okay, so that's the banking module. Now closing inventory. It's a similar process. First of all, we would recommend completing a stock take to make sure that physical inventory in your warehouse matches the inventory recorded within Acumatica. Any variances identified during the stock take should definitely be investigated and adjusted before year-end closing starts. Once stock quantities have been verified, process and release all inventory transactions. Next, reconcile inventory values. Then run your inventory valuation report and compare the inventory valuation against the inventory asset accounts within the general ledger. The balances should reconcile. Once all inventory transactions have been processed and the reconciliations completed, the inventory period can be closed. Okay, now closing accounts payable. First, begin by releasing all AP documents for the periods being closed. This includes bills, debit adjustments, credit adjustments, payments. After releasing transactions, validate supplier balances. If discrepancies exist, investigate and resolve them before proceeding further. You should run reports such as the AP aging and the AP balance by GL account and compare these reports against your trial balance and general ledger. Once everything has been reconciling correctly, then you can go ahead and close the accounts payable period, the accounts payable year. Okay, accounts receivable next. Similar process. Release all AR documents, including invoices, credit notes, debit adjustments, customer payments. If customer balances appear incorrect, you can use the recalculate customer balances function. which will refresh balances based on the underlying transaction history. This process, next, reconcile accounts receivable against the general ledger, running your AR aging report, AR balance by GL account report, and comparing its balance sheet trial balance. Once you've reconciled these, close the accounts receivable period. Okay, now on to fixed assets.
Hey, just Lee, we did have a question just a little bit before on the payroll side of things too. This is for Lokesh. Could you please confirm whether we are required to create a separate pay run to record and report FBT?
It sounds like we might need to give you a bit of advice on FTP, and that might be something that we'll have to handle over a support request, if that's okay, Lokesh. If you want to send that in, I can give you a hand with that afterwards.
Vishka's raised his hand. Vishka, do you?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I jump in on that? I can probably
Thanks,
just reply.
Vishka, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Lokesh. I'm gonna send you a knowledge article on that. The reason, one of the reasons that we need to create it as separate pay run, because it involves creating a separate pay group. So all the steps will be outlined in that article under reporting fringe benefits. So you need to first set up the pay item, and then set up the pay group, and then select that pay group in the new pay run.
Okay.
Yep. I'll reply to you on the chat.
Please. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Cheers.
Any other questions before I continue?
Yeah, so I think just a few people asking, can you send it to us? Maybe it'd be worth, if you've got that knowledge base article, I just published the knowledge based article into the chat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks, Vishka. Any other questions before we move on? No? Okay, cool. Let's go.
All right, closing fixed assets. So for organisations using the fixed assets module, the first step is calculating and processing depreciation. Once depreciation has been processed, reconcile your fixed asset balances, compare the fixed asset cost accounts and accumulated depreciation accounts against the available fixed asset reports. The fixed asset cost by class report is particularly useful for this process. Once reconciliations are complete, close the fixed asset period. Right, preparing and reviewing your BAS. So firstly, any organisations reporting GST on a cash basis, there are additional steps before preparing BAS, including recognising input GST and recognising output GST. These processes move GST amounts from pending accounts into GST paid and GST collected accounts. For organisations operating on an accrual, which is probably most, if not all of you, its preparation is simpler. Navigate to the taxes module and prepare the tax report. Please review the report carefully and ensure the transactions appear correct. And if everything's reconciling correctly, release the tax report and generate your BAS. If you do identify any discrepancies here, get in touch with support before proceeding further, and we'll help you out. Okay, closing, the final module to close is the general ledger. Before closing the year, ensure all GL transactions have been released. If you pick up any discrepancies at this stage, use the recalculate account history function. This is frequently used during EOFY to resolve any balance discrepancies encountered by clients over the years. It's quite often effective in those instances. You should also run a financial reports for the finance team to review, such as profit and loss, balance and cash flow reports, if that's applicable. or there may be some customized financial reports that you have. Once all the balances have been verified, then you can proceed with closing off the financial year. So that's the end of the first part of this. Now I was just going to show you a couple of things on the demo site. So just bear with me a sec. Okay. Right. So just want to show you where something is. It's a setting that you wouldn't be changing, but it's just relevant to what happens at financial year end. Apologies, our demo site's a little bit slow. I'm sure your sites are much, much faster. Oh, actually, I should be on that one. Tab. Okay, so just you've got your year-to-date net income account and retained earnings accounts. These would have been set up for you when your site was implemented. Just wanted to show you those. So during the financial year close process, income accounts are cleared and expense accounts are cleared. Net profit or loss is transferred to retained earnings. Balance sheet accounts carry forward into the next financial year. The retained earnings balance then becomes the opening balance in the new financial year. So we'll just go through a bit of the closing off. So first of all, we need to make sure the banking modules are closed and the cash transactions have been released. So I'll just go to, I'm just using a different one here. So just going to banking, release cash transactions. So if you're closing off monthly, there wouldn't be that many transactions, but if you don't close monthly, if you maybe do quarterly, there could be a few transactions waiting to be released. This is just, I'm not going to actually go ahead and release them now, but I'm just going to explain. You can either select certain ones, so you know, just the ones that go up to the end of the financial year. And then click to release just the ones that are ticked, or if it applies to every transaction on your screen that you need to release, then you would click release all. So then once your cash transactions for the year you're closing are released, next you could go to your recalculate balances. So if you want to recalculate balances, for instance, sorry, I've just got it's supposed to be on the other screen. Apologies. Okay, so just to let you know, this is our demo site, so we're using a relevant past year. So we're time traveling just for the purposes of showing you how to close off the financial year, because we've got this ready to go. So just going to pretend it's the period 12 in 2021. Now, say that I had some discrepancies in this account that I wanted to fix. I could go to the recalculate account balances, select the account I had concerns about, and click process. If it encountered any errors, it would let me know. That's gone through fine, and then I can go to close the period, close financial periods. Okay, so there's an example here where we're just closing May and June. So I'm going to close both of those. That's done. Okay. Now, if we go to finance, manage financial periods, we should see that the cash transactions module's been closed off. Okay, right. So that's banking. Now we're going to take a look at receivables. So go to I don't know why I can't see it. There we go. All the way down the bottom. Okay. So receivables, and then we're going to release AR documents. As you can see, we don't have any to release in the year we're closing 2021, but if you did, you would either release all or select the ones that for your financial year that you need to release, click release. Okay. Once you've done this, then you'll do some reconciliation. So you would go and you would check your AR aging or your AR balance by GL account against the trial balance summary. If you found any imbalance or sort of discrepancy, then you can go to recalculate balances, customer balances. So you would select the customer that you are concerned about. So I'm going to pick AlphaBiz and process that. Any discrepancies with AlphaBiz should hopefully be fixed. Okay. Next up, we're going to close the financial period. So in receivables, close financial periods. Okay, I'm going to do the whole year, process all. Okay. We go back and check the financial periods again. Finance, we can see that AR is closed as well. Okay. Now with inventory, I did forget to show you something. I'll show you it on the inventory. So when you are in any of the modules, when you're in the screen to close the financial periods, if there are any unreleased documents or unposted documents, so this will be in AR and AP as well, you can click on here and take a look. Now, that's not working properly here, but anyway, if it's not grayed out and you can click on it, then click on the link before you close the period. It will show you there might be a document that's on hold, a transaction that was just a draft that's not required anymore that you can delete, or there might be unreleased documents that you need to release. So if you try to close one of the financial periods and you get an error that there are unreleased or unposted documents, you can go back into the closed financial periods and you can click on the link and it will actually show you which documents. So normally you can find out what's holding you up from the actual screen itself. But otherwise you can also go to release the documents and see if there's anything sitting there. Now, as you can see, we don't have any documents to be released for this period. However, there is something holding up the closing of the inventory module related to production that actually I wasn't quite able to fix before for this. So we're not actually going to close off the inventory module in this instance, but normally, yeah, you would come in, release any documents from here, go to close financial periods and close off the inventory module. And then when you would go back to finance to manage financial periods, you would then finish off closing them off. If you're using FA, then you would also go through the same steps if you've got fixed assets. I see we're getting a bit close to the end of the session. So we got a couple of other quick things. Generating future financial calendars. I'll just show you where that is.
I guess can you close a period? Can you close an end of financial year without having other periods?
So if we do this, we can close off everything apart from those. There'll just be a couple of periods in the inventory ledger.
Thank you.
So yeah, in this instance, we have to go back and check some transactions in May and June but obviously this is our demo site, so not exactly the same as your live site. We'd had the whole year open. All of these, every single one would be closed off for the whole year, and that would be the end of your closing of the financial year. So to create a new financial calendar, you go to the master financial calendar, click on generate calendar, and you can select from 2 year. So you could do several years in advance, and then that will generate your future calendar periods, which you can leave as inactive until you're ready to start posting in them. Okay, so that's the end of I was going to show you on there. Just the last bit was some tips and tricks that we wanted to mention. So some best practices for end of financial year is to lock periods throughout the years, to lock periods after closing them to prevent accidental postings. Regularly recalculate and validate balances where discrepancies are suspected. Automate recurring transactions through recurring journals wherever possible. Use dashboards to perform quick reviews and identify unusual activity. Start your end of financial year review process early rather than waiting until the final weeks of the year. Perform bank reconciliations regularly, ideally monthly, and in some businesses, maybe you even would do that weekly. When posting adjustment entries, make sure you attach supporting notes and documentation so there's a clear audit trail. And finally, ensure that any cut-off dates are clearly communicated throughout the business so all departments understand when transactions need to be completed by. Okay, so just a few quick notes about Payday Super. So 1st of July, Super moves from quarterly to being part of every pay cycle. All employers, including small businesses, must pay Super at the same time as wages, and contributions need to reach employee super funds within 7 business days. The exception is for new employee onboarding, or if an employee super fund changes, then you have up to 20 days. Payroll calculation change with the super guarantee shifting from ordinary time earnings basis to qualifying earnings basis. Also to be aware of, it's a bit of an error there, that's meant to say 3, cash flow pressure and financial penalties. So the increased frequency of payment could strain cash flow at first if you've not planned for that. And just to be aware that non-compliance can trigger costly ATO penalties. Also, the fixed asset instant write-off, as mentioned by Adam, is something that you need to be aware of changing to. There's some really good resources from MYOB. I've got some links that I can share with you in the chat on that as well, and also about end of financial year processing. So I will share those links.
Okay, this was one question. There was one question from Mickey. When processing the year-end accountant adjustment journal, can we reopen the journal to June to process it?
Yeah, you can reopen the periods. Yeah, but is that something that you actually need us to take a look at? If you've had to do the adjustment, is that you completely clear on how you want to solve that, or is that something you'd like support to take a look at to make sure you're doing it the right way?
If we can do that, that'll be awesome.
Okay.
Because it's just that I'll only probably get the adjustment in about 2 months' time after month end.
Yeah.
Well, after year end, and then I need to make the adjustment.
Oh, yeah, you can. So if you've got the right admin rights, like finance admin, you would actually be able to post to a closed period. You can't post to locked, but some people can post to closed, or the period can be reopened to allow you to post to it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's just I mean, obviously, in the financial year, locking the periods is more about other users in the system not being able to post in past, closed periods. Yeah. Thanks for that, Mickey. We've got Dan has put her hand up. Dan, do you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Yeah, hi, Leah. Just want to be asking because we also having experienced the difficulty with the close of financial.
I can't hear you. You're a bit quiet.
Can you hear me now?
That's better. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just hi, Leah. Just for the closing for the financial year, we also having a difficulty to closing the financial year, and we checking all this relevance things like close all the individual period, but we still cannot close. So is any is any problem problem shooting? We need rechecking the inventory, or even the inventory reclose. If inventory already take close, we still need.
Yeah, are you getting is it giving you an error telling you what's preventing it from closing? Like, is it telling you that it's the inventory module unreleased transactions or something?
Yeah,
I think Vishka wants to jump in as well.
Yeah, so I think this is a case that was raised by Dan. Dan, is this regarding where you're not able to close the period and it's showing all those unposted documents that you raised with us? That case being handled by Yusuf? Is that the one?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So Leah, it's a separate issue. It's that
offline. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. It's these I think Dan is trying to start closing periods from 2022. Am I right, Dan?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the periods haven't been closed for a long period. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that's not your regular end
No,
of financial year process?
it's a system issue as well, where a few posted documents are showing as unposted when trying to close. So we've escalated with MYOB, and they are, I think they'll apply script. And yeah, Dan will get back to you on that.
Yeah, that's actually what's happened in the demo site. So there was a production transaction holding it up, and I did an inventory adjustment and I released it, but
Yeah.
it's old in our demo. I was using the year 2021, and it still was refusing to close from that. So probably the same thing. Okay. Any other questions?
We've got Ronnie has asked the employee super details doesn't have the bank details. How can you pay to the employee super account?
Well, how were you paying it before?
Right. Did you want to come off mute, Ronnie, and just explain a little bit? Obviously, this is the super's going directly into, not into the employees pay. It's going into the super fund. Sorry, Ronnie, do you want to just expand on that question? It's related to the payday starts. Are you using the MYOB clearinghouse already, Ronnie, for the pay super, or are you using Sapphire? I see you using the ATO clearinghouse at the moment, are you? The small business clearinghouse? Okay, so the small business clearinghouse is actually being decommissioned as well. So you're going to have to look at the method that you're using to either adopt the MYOB Pay Super to do your super contributions for Payday Super, so that the ATO will no longer be supporting the small business clearinghouse. Or using a SAF file and uploading that SAF file into your one of your, maybe your nominated super fund provider to do the clearing. My recommendation would be use MYOB Pay Super. It's a really simple process. Once you've registered your administrators and authorizers in the system, it is literally click the Pay Super, and then MYOB will direct debit your bank account and disperse the funds to the relevant super funds. Yes, that's the MYOB the MYOB software itself. So using the MYOB Acumatica payroll software to process your pay super contributions. Sorry, Vishka, you want to say something?
Yeah, to add to that, Adam, if you need help enabling that and or registering for Pay Super, we can Ronnie raise a query with us, like case with us, and we can get you started on that.
Ronnie, you're already using MYOB Acumatica? If you want, just email us and we'll help out. I'll put my email, the support email address in the chat, and also my email if you want to CC me on that, Ronnie, and we'll work with you. Okay, cool. All right. Any other questions at all? Cool. We are over time, and I hope everyone can still continue. We have just got a few more slides to get through.
Before you jump on, Adam, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I strongly recommend you all rewatch our Payday Super video webinar. We'll also include that link for you. It really does cover everything. It's probably worth looking at it again now that it's coming up in a few weeks. Okay, over to you.
Cool. Do you want to just move through those slides?
Oh, I'll just stop sharing.
Save having me to share. Just if you want to just share where you're at, be great.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. All right.
Cool. All right. So I just want to touch on this, just a few last things anyway. It's not really related with the end of financial year side of things, but I just wanted to touch on some enhancements that are coming, because a lot of our clients, because of having payroll and all that sort of stuff in the system, they've been upgraded to the 2025.2 versions. So what's coming is in the 2025.2 is the modern UI, and I know some of the people on the call here have maybe played around with this. You can actually switch your screens to the modern UI. Which gives just a new interface. It is going to improve things like the speed of use. And it's also going to be it's going to give you the ability to do some new things in the system, like being able to enable modifying some of the screens without having to come and do a custom, sometimes we're having to do a customization on a screen. And at the moment, this modern UI can be switched on by individual screens. So if you do have the administration rights on the system, in the top right-hand corner, if you click on Tools and then look down into the drop-down, I think it's about halfway down, it does say switch to modern UI. The only thing you need to be mindful, and you do get a prompt, is that by switching the modern UI, it applies this across all users. It's not just you. So if you do go and enable it, and it will enable it for everyone. Okay, so just be a little bit cautious if you're not in the right role in the business and shouldn't be enabling it, then maybe ask before you do it. Also, just be mindful as well as if we have modified the screen in the modern modified the screen for you in the current version. Some of those modifications might drop out. So to avoid that, you can come to us and say, hey, Adam, we know that we've modified the sales order screen and we do want to start switching on the modern UI for this. You can come to us and we can try and recompose the customization in the modern UI. This will be the modern UI. So do you want to go to the next slide? Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, just before we go into the next part, the modern UI is going to be enforced in 2026.1, which is not coming out until around about February next year, I think. So well, the official rollout will be in sort of February, and then take effect from like March, April, May, June, as we're going through a bit of a cycle at the moment. Cool. We'll switch over to the next one. So what does 2025.2 bring to all of us? It's giving you lots and lots of new features also around the AI space. So one of the things that's coming into there is the ability to do anomaly detection. So setting up some anomaly detection, gives you some insight into the business and looking at things that could be out of whack, when it comes to your AP bills or your accounts receivable and all that sort of stuff, looking for significant problems with the data. And I think that's the key when it comes to adopting the AI functions. It's about making sure that the data and all that is is good in the system. Some of the other new features that will be coming in, if you are, obviously in selling wholesale and distribution, this is going to be another great little feature, is the cross-sell assistant, where this will actually use AI to try and recommend products that maybe need to get, might be selling a laptop, but if you sell a laptop, normally you sell a keyboard and maybe a mouse with it. The cross-seller system will actually start surfacing that up. There is some setup involved in getting some of these things set up, and in regards to the cross-sell assistant, there is a little bit of time that we have to spend in that. There's expense automation, so using things like the AP bills. There is actually the incoming documents that we can set up for you, and you can use the AI to read bills and all that sort of stuff, and try and bring in a lot of information there. Also around mobile receipts, taking photos with your mobile device for expense claims, taking photos, and it will use, you can turn on the AI functions to take a photo and then it read the photo and enter a lot of that data in for your expense receipt. So there's all these nice little things that are coming in there. Let's move over to the next one. Next slide. Another big one is coming around this AI Studio. So this is coming in the 2025.2. There's a preview release that's come into this. And this is where you are going to be able to link into MYOB are working with Anthropic AI, Azure, and so AWS Anthropic, which is a large language model that they're building into the system, so you can use the standard built-in large language model here. And what it can do, AI Studio is about doing things like automating some processes. It could be, running, like case management. So putting in, like I know one of the ones that we've played with is that, when we close a case, it actually takes a synopsis of what's happened on that case and provides the case closure notes and stuff. So that's the one part that's coming into the AI Studio side of things as well. So they're all exciting things. They are all things that myself and the team are getting our heads around, so that we can help advise and give you the best practices when it comes to using those. I think we're pretty close, aren't we, Leah? Cool. Next slide. So 2026.1 full availability of the AI Studio across for all clients. So that will become 2026 ones when the AI Studio is going to be in full-fledged. Obviously, the modern UI is going to become it's going to be enforced across all the systems, and one of the benefits is that it's nice and easier. It's a little bit more user-friendly on the AI side of things. It really does segment different areas and make it easier. It's also going to make it easier on the modern UI for you to go, hey, look, we want to see the percentage margin we want to see a percentage margin of our on our sales side of things to see what our margins are. You'll be able to add that into the screen. Whereas at the moment in the current UI, that does have to be done by a developer. If you want to bring certain information that might be in the lower level information, bring that up onto the top level, it has to be done by a developer. Whereas you're going to be able to have a little bit more control on that. There is going to be things that you might say, oh, we want this, and because this is going to be relevant, and it may not be in the bottom end of the system. We can still bring that in through doing software development. So I don't think it's going to undermine what we do as a business. I think it's actually going to give you more tools to be able to enhance the system yourself, and then spend more money on the things that are actually going to add more value. But with this whole AI side of things, it's going to be it's just going to be coming into the system in dribs and drabs. Now there is a little bit of cost involved. So there is certain different pricing models for these different AI tools. So they're not just free. There is going to be pricing and usage services that are attached to those as well. I don't want to give anyone a misinterpretation of, oh, okay, it's coming in there and it's going to be free. No, it's not. There is usage charges against those different tools. But if you look at current models that are out there, if you go and use ChatGPT, yes, you get so many ChatGPTs that you get to use, but then once you hit a certain limit, then you're going to have to pay. You start having to pay fees there as well. So what I'd say is look at what the technology stack can deliver and see if that's right for you. I'll just put it out there again. Is there any other questions or queries just about what Leah's gone through or what I've just sort of touched on? I know we are well and truly over time, but I do thank everyone for sticking around. If you need to go, jump off. But if you want to ask anything, stay on. Happy for you to come off mute or put it in the chat. And if we go to the next slide, just for feedback, Leah. If you do have, we'd love to hear from you. So if you want to scan the QR code and give us any feedback, that'd be fantastic. Our marketing guy, Kenneth, will probably send out a thank you email for attending today's session for feedback as well. So be great if you can and let us know if it was helpful and useful. That'd be great. But any other questions, more than happy. I'm going to stick around for a couple of minutes and wait for any further questions. But thank you for your time.
Obviously, if you have any questions at all, send us an email and we'll help you out and support.